You likely know the sensation of a knot tightening in your throat after a discussion where you felt defeated. You had the facts and you spoke your mind, yet you walked away feeling drained, as if your words actually depleted your strength. We are taught that every conversation is a battlefield for truth. This conditioning suggests that silence is a form of surrender, and that we must defend every idea to maintain our standing. Look at the biological urge behind that response. Why is there such a sudden, burning pressure to correct a person or prove a point? This instinct to verbally defend ourselves is the very mechanism that hands our power over to whoever is provoking us. Friedrich Nietzsche viewed this human compulsion to argue through a cold psychological lens. Nietzsche diagnosed the drive to debate as a symptom of a fragile ego. It is a reaction born from a terror of appearing vulnerable or weak. When we justify ourselves, we reveal a deep-seated desire for the other person's validation. We are effectively asking for their permission to be right. The moment you feel compelled to explain your worth to a manipulator, you have entered their game. You are playing by their rules. True psychological dominance relies on the strategic absence of words. When met with silence, an aggressor loses their narrative control. Without the fuel of your reaction, their argument has nothing to push against. This diagram of brain anatomy shows the origin of the threat response. When aggression is met with total silence, internal chemistry shifts. The lack of feedback triggers the amygdala, plunging the individual into anxiety. The brain perceives silence as an uncategorizable threat. To fill this void, the opponent's brain begins to project. They start to wonder if they are being judged, or if their bluffs have been exposed. In this environment, silence acts as an invisible blade. You are no longer defending a position. You allow their paranoia to dismantle their illusion. By managing your own urge to react, you force the other person to confront the instability of their own logic. Weaponizing silence in everyday conflict requires 4 behavioral disciplines. The first quadrant is starving the reaction. This requires killing the need for external validation, realizing the truth remains true whether spoken or not. Manipulators depend on emotional fuel to sustain their influence. Withholding that fuel breaks their cycle, revealing the insecurities they hide behind their noise. The second weapon is the hunter's observation. You shift from waiting your turn to listening for contradictions hidden between the opponent's lines. The third weapon is the unbearable pause. You allow the silence to stretch out, using time to build internal tension. That tension often leads to an internal collapse. As their mind races to fill the vacuum you've created, their confidence begins to fracture. The fourth weapon is unpredictability. Silence makes you unreadable. When they cannot map your reactions, they lose their tactical advantage and act with extreme caution. Mastering these behaviors shifts the pressure. You move from a reactive target to the gravitational center of the room. We must distinguish this strategy from the silence of submission, which is a retreat born of fear. This trap involves swallowing anger and avoiding conflict, while convincing yourself it is a sign of maturity. Nietzsche described this false harmony as domesticated surrender. It is a process of shrinking your own presence to allow others to build their empires on your silence. Choosing silence as a shield to hide behind costs you your identity. This form of submission must be abandoned before true mastery is possible. The alternative is the silence of presence. It is a refusal to bend or to apologize for existing. Nietzsche called this state the overman, a mind that shapes its environment through presence rather than reaction. This represents total self-mastery. You become the warrior who has secured the advantage before the first word is even spoken. From this moment forward, silence is an invisible shout of authority. You owe explanations to no one. The weak shout, the strong remain silent, and the wise choose when. If you are ready to claim this power, go to the comments and write, "I choose the silence that commands respect."